Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Capricorn August 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So, hi, everyone, and welcome. You'll have to forgive my voice. I'm still getting over being sick, but here I am and happy to be so. So in this reading, we are going to be taking a look at a challenge that Spirit is asking you to face and overcome this month to really help you engage with your unique spirit, that part of yourself that rises to the occasion when we're challenged, so that you can better help unlock those heroic capabilities that lie within you to better understand your path, your purpose, and to get closer to those feelings of emotional fulfillment that come when we see where we fit in the collective experience and where we can be of service to others. Okay, so I'm jumping right in here. I'm first going to pull some cards to take a look at what you're bringing into the month of August. Then we'll take a look at what's going on externally to you. And then we'll take a look at the blocks and the challenges that you're here to face. Okay, Capricorn, this is interesting. The Seven of Swords is your internal energy. And this is one of avoidance. This is one of sitting in that energy of, is it worth it for me to do something? In the mental space. It's also something where sometimes it can be almost like a self-sabotage card where we're trying to avoid looking at something or admitting something to ourselves. I'm going to see if I can get anything else to come out. Okay. Empress and I'm going to kind of hold these separate here. Empress and the Eight of Cups. So there's something here around, I think, trying to avoid realizing what you want to create for yourself, but also what you have to walk away from. And that can be, when we get to the point with the Eight of Cups is that feeling of, I know something no longer resonates with me. There's something that no longer emotionally fulfills me, and it's time to go. I know there's something more out there for me. And it can be a difficult thing to want to face because it does mean that in admitting to yourself that you don't feel the same way towards something on an emotional level that you once did, it means that something's going to have to change in your external environment. But I like that the Empress came up in here because the Empress is a strong feminine archetype card. It's one of, that's a little bit too much. Let's see if we can get a few less there. It's one really that speaks to holding space for what you want to create. It's also a very empowered card. It's one of realizing that we can tap into our own creative abilities and be able to create for ourselves what we want. Okay, so in your external environment, we have the Five of Wands, and that can be a little bit of a chaotic energy. It can be one where it's almost like kind of getting back out there in the fray. It can be also a competitive energy, a healthy competitive energy, where we're kind of testing out what we're capable of in kind of an equal playing field with others who are doing something similar. And what I'm seeing here at the bottom of the deck, and it's interesting because I noticed multiple times this Page of Pentacles was kind of popping up as I was shuffling. So with the Page of Pentacles underscored by the Nine of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. So there's this feeling here really of having to face these two energies within yourself. One is the energy of knowing what you need to walk away from and what you want to walk towards. The other is having confidence in your own ability to create for yourself what you're hoping, I think, to walk away from and walking towards. So meaning there's something here that you want to create for yourself that's causing you to see something that no longer satisfies you. And in your external environment, I might create a little chaos. That might mean that in order for you to maybe walk towards the thing you want to create, you might have to get out kind of into the open market, so to speak. You might have to go out there and jump into a new career path that you're going to have to kind of cut your way into, or you might have to jump out into the world of finding a new home to live in, or the world of dating again. But there's something here that does speak to both a little bit of that kind of chaotic energy of finding where you fit, but also the energy of healthy competition. And with the Empress coming in here, there's that reminder of, you can do it. You can do it, Capricorn. But what you're learning about yourself, what you're unlocking about yourself this month is your ability to get into a beginner's mindset, your ability to leave a comfort zone, to it's interesting to go from the Nine of Pentacles to the Page of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is where you're very close to getting to that legacy experience of the Ten of Pentacles, and the closing out of a cycle, the achievement of what you want to gain physically in the tangible experience. But there's also the element of kind of getting stuck in that comfort zone of like, okay, I have a certain level of independence. I have a certain level of physical comfort and whatever that means to you, and I'm good. But with the energy of the Eight of Cups coming in here internally, it's good, but it's not good enough. There's something that's missing now that you want to create for yourself. And with the Seven of Cups coming in underneath that, there's this feeling of kind of the world's your oyster, of like wondering, well, what will fulfill me? If I know I want to walk away from something and I'm feeling that something doesn't quite work, well then is it worth it for me to go out there and try to find something new? And what is that going to be? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Is it going to be whatever? And it's an interesting energy to have with these two sevens, because this really is that time where you kind of get to stop and you get to reevaluate with spirit. You get to look at, is it worth it for me to leave something to create something new for myself? Is it worth it for me to emotionally invest in something else? Because I'm at a level of maybe financial or physical independence, and if I'm going to go out there and commit to something new or to leave something behind, I'm going to have to get into the beginner's mindset again of realizing I might need additional training somewhere. I might have to be kind of on a fact-finding mission for a while, and I have to be ready to say, okay, what can I do with what I have? And kind of narrow it down to starting fresh with one seed. It's like taking this abundant garden that you have and narrowing it down to one thing that you want to take with you as you walk away from where you are now towards what you want to create, and taking that out into the open market to say, I've cultivated this beautiful garden of roses. I get to enjoy it every single day, but I know there's something missing. I need to share those roses with other people. I need to, maybe you want to build a school around teaching other people how to grow roses. There's something here that lends to whatever you have, it's just not quite doing it anymore for you. And this is that beautiful chance to take what you've already created for yourself, take a piece of that and go out into the world again to create something for yourself that you really want to, that there's something yearning within yourself to be given birth to. And for some of you, which is interesting, this could actually be where you are maybe looking at having a child or looking to, give birth. Maybe you are looking to actually do something like that, and you're trying to almost not want to see that maybe this is something you want to walk towards. I could actually see that for some of you guys, that there's this element of maybe you said, oh, I never want to have kids. But this could also be on a creative level. This could be where you said, oh, I'm never, I don't need to paint for a living. I can put that aside and just focus on my 9 to 5. And it's getting to that point of realizing that creative part of us is always going to kind of rise, almost like, the best part of, that cream that rises to the top when we get, the milk from an animal, and we can't stop it. And that's oftentimes the best part of ourselves that needs to come up and out. But there is this lesson that's being learned here is kind of what is it that in the journey of going to the 9 of Pentacles, meaning that journey of getting to that place of financial independence or just physical independence on some level, what can you now take from that and take forward into walking towards something you want to create for yourself? So kind of going back to that example of, let's say, and I know it's a very basic example, but let's say you are now an expert at growing roses, and you want to take that up a notch. It's not just enough now to grow those roses and to admire them. You want to work with them in a more empowered way. You want to share your skills with others. And this could actually be, for some of you, getting into a teaching or mentorship type position where you realize that you have this kind of extra level of training or a skill set. And now it's time to take a snip of that rose and go out into the world to see, okay, well, for people who teach other people how to grow, rose gardens, what have they done? And where do my skills align or meet up with their skill set? This is a month of really, I think, gaining clarity on what you want to walk away from, but also gaining clarity on the confidence you have in yourself around what you can create for yourself based off of what you've already created for yourself. Okay, let's see what are the main blocks you're dealing with. Why are you avoiding? Why are you avoiding this? What does Capricorn need to know about their blocks for the month of August? Okay, strength. Yeah, that's I kind of figured something like that would come up in your reading. Yeah, it takes strength to admit to yourself that it's time to walk away from something. And, the Eight of Cups really speaks specifically to walking away from something you've invested a lot of emotional energy into. You've poured 8 cups full of your emotions into something, and now you have to look at it and admit to yourself and say, ugh, it's not resonating with me anymore. It's not leading me to that feeling of emotional fulfillment that maybe it either once had or that I had expected it to. And it takes strength to recognize that and strength to actually have the courage to say, okay, I'm going to leave it. It's time for me to leave, and it's time for me to realize my own creative abilities. To take a part of what I've created for myself and really bring it out there to see what I can do with it. Okay, King of Cups. I love that. Scorpionic energy. It's also one of really having that level of emotional maturity, which I always appreciate when it comes out. It's also really, really diving deep into yourself to understand what emotionally fulfills you, and the power that when you feel on an emotional level something isn't right, how you can attune yourself to what is. It's also the card that for me really, hold on here. Card went all the way under the table. All right, here we go. You have the Magician at the heart of your reading. I love that. But it's also a card that speaks to the spiritual advisor, someone who's so in tune with their emotions and their intuition that they are able to really take action from a measured place in alignment with their emotions, that they're not ruled by their emotions. They are in control of them and understand the importance of not avoiding them. And Capricorn, I think, it's interesting. There is very few people understand, you are obviously the goat in as your symbol in astrology, but you're actually the sea goat, meaning that you are half from the water, which in tarot and astrology speaks to your emotional side to your experience. And you are also the goat that rises up out of the sea. So you come from the emotional depths and you climb to physical heights, and you are very set on, goal-oriented sign. You're a cardinal earth sign. And so you actually, I feel like a lot of times, because your opposite sign in the world of astrology is Cancer, and Cancer is so ruled by their emotions, and they can be very, I would say, overt in their emotional displays. Capricorn has to kind of harness the energy of the more staid or I would say, almost like anti-emotion, that your emotions run deep and they actually are part of your power as a sign, but you often, I feel, are not able to express them in the way that your counterpart Cancer does, because they're the ones who, that's their side. that's their thing, if that makes sense. And you have to harness more of the father archetype energy of being strong and stoic. And yet, those emotions run deep for you. And I think that this is a month where you can really start to allow yourself to understand the power that emotions play in our experience, the power that emotions have, and actually how we appreciate our experience. So when we are not emotionally in tune with where we are and what we're doing, then we're really not in tune with our experience at all. And it's very difficult to feel those beautiful feelings of happiness and joy and contentment and peace when we are not emotionally feeling those things, when we are trying to just tell ourselves we should be, but yet it's not coming down into the depths. You're sitting kind of on top of your mountain saying, well, I made it, but it's not bringing me that emotional fulfillment that I left behind that I was hoping to find as I climbed that mountain. And so for some of you, with going from the 9 to the page, there's this element of actually kind of having to almost kind of go back down the mountain a little bit and reconnect with people. Okay. Oh, interesting. So I don't normally put reversals in this deck. So the fact that it came up reversed and face down is interesting. So we have the Princess of Swords here with the Five of Pentacles before that. Princess of Swords is actually the Page of Swords. So it's the equivalent of the Page of Pentacles, but in the air element, so in your mind. So it's kind of going out there and gaining more information and context about a truth about yourself. And then we have the Prince of Wands, which is the Knight of Wands in this deck. And that's been reversed. And the Knight of Wands is one, it's a card of kind of going out there and doing what feels good. It's taking action from a place of passion. It's kind of seeking that feel good energy. And when it comes up reversed, there can be a little bit of this maybe shying away from doing what feels good, but there's also this element of needing to stabilize yourself, because the one thing with the Knight of Wands is that he can be a little inconsistent. He can be a little maybe not dependable, because he is kind of the one who's like, ooh, that looks good, I'm going to go do that. And then maybe tomorrow he'll commit to doing something with somebody, but something else kind of catches his attention and he'd rather do that instead. And so he's going to say, I don't want to do that anymore. Today I woke up and I'm feeling this. And so there's this element of almost having to take that energy within of wanting to do what feels good, wanting to go out there and have fun again with working with your passion, but doing it in a more stabilized way. And I think for some of you with this, the Page of Swords coming up here, there's almost this element of needing to gain a little bit more clarity now as to maybe where you've kind of been that in your life, maybe where you haven't been as focused as you needed to be, or maybe where you've prevented yourself from going out there and feeling that, where you held yourself to be duty bound, because Capricorn, you can fall into that. You are the father archetype in the tarot or in astrology. And you might have actually held yourself back from going out there and doing what has felt good for some time. And now it's time to really gain context on why was that? Was that because you were, working so diligently to create a structured family, a stable family life? Was that because you were trying to build a business that you really wanted, to see manifest? What was it that forced you to hold yourself in a place of not going out and doing kind of what you wanted to do, from a place of what striked up your fancy, and realizing and bringing that back now to say, when we, yes, there are times in our life where we all have to get to that place where we're like, yeah, we have to put our head down and we have to do the work and make it happen. But there's also a time and a place to bring ourselves into the equation. That's the whole thing with the Seven of Cups, is that we are finding ourselves in the options that are out there to bring us back to realize that it's not something outside of ourselves that makes us reconnect with that basically meets our needs or can make us feel emotionally fulfilled, can manifest our dreams for ourselves. It's that we have to see in the options what brings us back to what we uniquely need from each one of those situations. So what do we need when we go out to look for the next job? What do we need on an emotional level to feel? What needs need to be met? How does this fit into the dreams we have for ourselves? And we need to bring it back to our cup, the cup that we always hold within our hand, even when we're walking away from what we've poured from our cup into. So there's this element here with the Magician coming up in the middle. This is what Spirit's asking you to embrace to help you move through this energy, is reminding yourself that you are the magician in your own life. You have the ability to manipulate all aspects of your experience, your thoughts, your emotions, your physical experience, your tangible experience, and your passion. But you have to utilize all of those in a unique way that is singular to you. And the beauty of your sign, Capricorn, is that your motto is I use, meaning that you are a sign that understands how to take what is at your disposal and use it to accomplish your goals. And that's why you are a cardinal earth sign. You are very good at kind of setting your sights on the top of that mountain and coming up out of the depths of the ocean to come onto land and make it to the top. You're going to use whatever you find along the way to get you up there. And it's reminding yourself of that power. And when we have the Magician and the Empress coming up here, it's almost like, well, what can't you create for yourself? And it's about helping you get past the Five of Pentacles, because the Five of Pentacles is one where we are in a state of a sense of lack. We are in that lack mentality of, but what if I leave something and I try to chase this new dream, or I try to go out there and teach people about how to grow roses, and what if no one wants to listen to me? What if I'm left out in the cold? Or what if I go to build this school and no one shows up? And this is saying, instead of looking at those kinds of what ifs, and I have a feeling, I'm going to pull some clarifiers here. I have a feeling that the Nine of Swords is going to come up. The Nine of Swords or the Eight of Swords is going to come up somewhere in here. But there's a feeling here of saying, where have you limited yourself in really honoring a truth that lies within you, your own strength and capability? Where have you held yourself back from going out and sharing your passion and really enjoying life from that, going out and doing what feels good? Where have you held yourself back out of this, out of the fear of lack? I might not have enough, or someone might not like it, and I don't know if I can do it. And this is saying, if you can really step up into this element of looking at what you have at your disposal, understanding that, again, it's your magic. Now here's the Knight of Wands upright. Okay, so this is a great confirmation here for the Strength card. This is saying it's your time, Capricorn. It's your time to go out there and have fun now. It's your time to see the truth as to what you have not allowed yourself, I think, to see. And there lies your Ace of Cups. There lies in, I think, what you've been seeking for some time external to yourself. And in having the courage to go towards where your passion is calling you, to go towards now doing what lights you up, that's where you're reconnecting with your cup, with what you need to have fulfilled, with your dreams that you need to work towards. And that's what's really going to allow you to have this courage to walk away, because now it's like, I can't do that anymore. It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't make me happy. It's not meeting my needs. Ooh, and we have the Ace of Swords for the King of Cups. Interesting with the Ace of Swords coming through there. So I think for some of you, there is this clarity coming through with this level of emotional maturity that's coming in here of saying, that's the level of clarity I needed. I needed to get in touch with my emotional self in a very mature way to say, this isn't what I want anymore, or this is what I want. And that's the level of clarity I've been needing to kind of make this decision to go from the Seven of Swords to the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords is where we can sometimes get in that place of kind of, we get stuck. We're like, well, we see the clarity. I see what I want to walk away from, but I don't know how to make these changes. And the Queen of Swords comes in and says, no, you do know. The Queen of Swords is a lovely card to come in with the Ace of Swords because it's the realization of what you're capable of. It's the realization of looking back at everything you've had to go through, all the lessons learned, and all the things you've come out from triumphantly with that lesson learned. And now you get to speak from that place. Now you get to share that. Now you get to say, you know what? Yeah, I did build that business. And even though now it's not something I really want to keep working towards, I realize I can teach other people how to build businesses from the ground up. Or I can trust in my ability to take almost nothing, very limited resources, and create almost something from nothing. Or I have the ability to raise a family on one income because of how well I know how to save, because of how well I know how to manage my time. There is something here about the realization that when you kind of put the highs and the low, that kind of emotional instability aside, and you get to that place of emotional stability, and you can just use your feelings to kind of look back at your life. That's where the clarity comes in. That's where the realization of what you're truly capable comes in. Ooh, and we have the Lovers in Death with the Magician. Interesting. Okay, so this is a massive transformation coming through at the heart of your reading there with the Death and the Lovers. There is a feeling, I think, for some of you that what you loved is no more. And there is a release and a transformation of maybe what you loved, how you love, and it's time to transform that. For some of you, with the Lovers in Death coming in, this may actually have to be walking away from a relationship. This might have to be walking away from something you once loved to allow for something new to take its place. And that's where the Magician is really coming in here for you guys. It's saying you have everything at your disposal to transform what will become a void when you let something go. Whether this is a relationship, whether this is a long time career path, whether this is even getting to the place where sometimes we get stuck physically, geographically. We're like, no, we have to live in this place. We kind of get our fingers, our nails in something, and we're like, no, we have to be here physically in this home, in this area. I used to love it. It worked perfectly. And then we have to realize, well, sometimes we have to let something go for something new to be reborn. So if you want to go out now and teach other people how to, grow roses, well, maybe now you have to release where you live, because maybe there's an opportunity for you to teach how to grow roses in another state or in another region that's more applicable to people who want to learn this new skill that you have to teach. There's something here, though, around having to release something that you had at one point loved and allowing that to, it could even just be the idea of a relationship. That maybe the relationship has now transformed into something new and different, but we have to release the old vision of that, the old tie to that, and start anew. That's really what the Empress speaks to, is holding space for the new to grow within you. So keep that in mind, Capricorn, that this is a month of really harnessing. I think, you really harness masculine energy, but this is about really focusing on the feminine energy of holding space for something you want to grow for yourself and releasing a tie to the past. Okay, let's see what's going on with the Five of Pentacles. Okay, and there's the Seven of Swords. So here it is mirrored again over here, the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, that's the main reason why you don't want to look at this, why you're trying to avoid looking at what you want to walk away from and what you actually want to grow space for, because there's this element of, well, what if I don't have enough? Or what if I do walk away from this and it doesn't work out? My significant other doesn't want to follow me on this path, or I leave my ex and my children, I leave my longtime partner and my children think I'm crazy. Or I move away from the place I've lived in for 35 years. And what's that going to look like? Maybe I will be left out in the cold. Maybe I won't be able to find a home that's as nice. Maybe once I get there, I won't meet anybody. There's that element of lack in any type of physicality that the Five of Pentacles speaks to. It's just a card of, I won't have enough time. I won't have enough resources. I won't have enough support. And I think for a lot of you, the realization is the support for yourself comes from within. Four of Cups. Yeah. Dissatisfaction. This is looking at Three Cups, the things kind of external to yourself, and going, none of these fulfill me. My work doesn't fulfill me. My partnership doesn't fulfill me. My where I live doesn't fulfill me. And yet there's your cup, your Ace of Cups sitting right next to you, saying it's never going to, those things aren't meant to fulfill you. It's what those things help achieve and fulfill that's already in your cup. So again, that in your Ace of Cups, which is the love, it's unconditional love for you as a singular individual from the divine. It's also unconditional love for yourself that you have for yourself, that respect of, no, my needs do need to be met as much as anybody else's. And it's kind of that real, it's almost like the universe is handing you your cup again to take a look at it, and you're sitting there saying, no, everything else doesn't work. It's not making me happy, and I'm not going to look. And the universe is like, would you just look in your cup? Would you just realize it's okay to go out and have fun and do what you need to do to make yourself feel great? Okay, so we have the Six of Cups. Interesting. Six of Cups is about going back to the past, really seeing that innocent version of yourself kind of before life got in the way, and getting a gift from your past self, reconnecting with something you had at one point emotionally connected to. What felt like fun to you when you were 10 years old, when you were 15 dreaming about the future life you would hold? And how can you bring that forward to break through this, I think, kind of barrier you've had from allowing yourself to just go out and do what feels good in life? And gaining context on that, because that's really what the Page of Swords speaks to as well. Gaining context on when did everything change in your life? Where was that kind of like hard stop of like, I'm moving towards what I want, everything seems to be great, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, wait a second, I lost that part of myself. I lost that vision for myself. I lost that feeling of I get to do this and this is fun. And really integrating that, healing that part of yourself, and getting yourself to a place where you get to bring that part of yourself back into your current experience. And that's where you get to connect with this Ace of Cups. It comes from the past. It comes from the past pure version of that cup that was yours when you did have that kind of innocent, childlike energy. Okay, we're going to see if anything else wants to come out. And if not, all right, it looks like that's really it. Okay, so now I'm going to pull 3 additional cards. One for the concept of curiosity, one for courage, and one for contemplation. We're going to take a look at these additional messages and advice from Spirit. So this first card here is a card of advice from Spirit as to where you should stay open and curious to for the month of August. Really where this is, if you stay open and curious to this energy, this is where Spirit has that channel to come in and guide you, to give you that aha moment, or to allow you to make that realization of that's the thing in the past I need to heal, or that's the thing in the past that I need to make peace with. And then I get to reconnect with myself. Then I get to get back in touch with, this is just love. The Ace of Cups is just love. Love for everything. Love for the people in our lives. Love for ourselves. Love for even all the past pain we had to go through because of the lessons we got to learn about ourselves and the clarity we have now and how strong we are and what we're capable of. It's just love. Okay, so we have two cards. We have deceit and action. Now, the deceit card is interesting that it comes up, also breaking down to number 7. The deceit card always, for me, is in this energy deck the same energy as the 7 of Swords, which has come up now twice in your reading and now a third time in this form. Where are you self-deceiving and not taking action towards doing something? This action card breaks down to number 8, which is the number of personal empowerment and empowered leadership. It's also the number of physical abundance as well. So there's something here where you are deceiving yourself in that you're not capable of taking action towards something that's going to really make you feel self-empowered. That there's something here that's going to bring in a level of physical abundance that you can actually experience, but you are asking yourself, is it worth it for me to do that? Is it worth it for me to go for that? Is it worth it for me to actually think that I can do this, to actually think that I can create this for myself? And what I love about the action card is that this also kind of speaks, with the black and the white horse coming in here, speaks to the Chariot card in the original tarot as well. The card that really shows what we can do when we get our head and our heart in alignment, the two different horses. And when we get into the Chariot, as the charioteer, and realize we're the ones that have to whip those horses and direct them where to go. And where is that ultimate destination? It's home. It's what feels like home to us. It's where all of our needs from our cup are met. And so there's something here around, what you want to go towards. You know where you want to take action to bring a level of self-empowerment back into your experience, but you're wanting to avoid it. So allow yourself to lean into where you're trying not to see something that you need to move away from, to be able to move towards something that's going to bring you a deep level of, I think, a feeling of personal empowerment. And kind of ask yourself, why are you in that place of self-deceit, saying that you can't do it, or wondering if you can? Why is this element of lack coming in here so strongly? When you look back, you can see clearly what you've been capable of. And if you don't really know where, if you know what you want to move away from, but you're not quite clear as to what you want to move towards, this is that beautiful point of allowing yourself to be curious. If you had to take action towards moving towards some place that felt more like home for you, the job that felt more like home, the physical location that felt more like home, the partner that felt more like home, what would that look like for you? And allow Spirit to just kind of come in to help guide you gently to see where you can take those first steps of action. And that's kind of what this Page of Pentacles is. Where can you take those first steps of action towards growing what you now know you can grow, what you're holding space for as you release something from the past? Okay, and now we're pulling a card here for courage. So this is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take action. Oh, and I love it. It says surrender to trust. It says trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path. Beautiful. I really don't think there's anything more for me to say about that, except Spirit's telling you to trust in yourself. Where you feel you want to leave to move towards something new, this is as long as you can make peace with the past and really get into that place of, it's time for me to start taking action from a place that feels good, from a place that honors my passions. This is your time. And I know we all have lives that touch many other lives. We are in a collective experience, but we also are the only people that can live our singular experience. And so there gets to be this point when it's like, maybe you have lived for quite some time for other people, but you also have to put yourself into that equation. And the more you put yourself into that equation, that's where the true magic and miracles lie in life, because that's where your uniqueness comes through. That's where the interesting business idea that comes out of nowhere, or the talent that you want to share with the world, or just your perspective of enjoying life. That's where you get to bring your uniqueness into your life experience. And sometimes we have to, prioritize that for ourselves to allow actually the best and brightest parts of ourselves to shine through. And that benefits others around us more than if we're kind of stuck in almost like a martyr syndrome. Okay, and for the final point of contemplation, we have Council of Light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. This is a reminder that you're not alone, that there's always a divinity to the plan and organizational structure of everything that is. And what you're feeling now and what you're being faced with is part of this divine plan for your continued spiritual growth and evolution. And you do have helpers out there, whether you choose to feel them as spirit guides, as angels, as ancestors that have gone before you, or just that feeling of connective support between you and everything. This is always at your disposal. You are never alone, and there is a divine plan for you. Okay, I'm going to clarify the surrender to trust. I want to do one for action and one for the surrender to trust. So I'll pull couple clarifiers here before we pull the final card for the reading. So let's see. What does Capricorn need to know about taking action? And I apologize. This deck is hard for me to shuffle, so if nothing comes out quickly, I'll just choose a card, just because there's just so many cards in this deck, and they're very slippery. All right, let's see. Okay, one more time, and then I'll pull one here. What does... I like that. Skunk Spirit, know your worth. Number 54, breaking down to 9. That's lessons learned, pulling those forward into the next cycle. And I think this is really a great point, if you're trying to avoid taking action in some way because of your fear that you can't do it, you don't have enough. You might be left out in the cold. Somebody might not want to go along on this next part of the journey with you. It's just saying it's time to know your worth. That's kind of what I was speaking to right before this point, is to really understand that, know what's in your cup, know what makes you unique, know what you need out of life, and understand that that's where your true value lies. And life is meant to be enjoyed. Now, obviously, we all have different circumstances where we can all have more challenging life experiences than others, but ultimately, it's our internal perspective that we should be free enough to, at least even in the hardest of circumstances, be able to know ourselves enough to be able to gain emotional enjoyment from a sunset, or to be able to gain emotional fulfillment from the physical exertion of, seeing what we're capable of. There's something that's going to be unique to each one of us. And actually, this is way too many cards here. I'm going to see if we can get that surrender to trust down a little bit. But there's an element of understanding, that freedom that comes when we know what brings us joy and fulfillment, even in the tiniest of things, even in the most challenging circumstances. And if we can integrate that into our lives in the smallest of ways, but then also use it as a catalyst to take action towards making bigger moves for ourselves as well. All right. Surrender to trust. What does Capricorn need to know about surrendering to trust? Lay a solid foundation. Beaver Spirit, number 6. Number 6 harnesses the energy of love, and actually also working together with others for a spiritual common goal, which I always appreciate with that number. So there's something here around trusting in yourself to lay the foundation from a place of love for yourself, for others, for what you see for your future self at this point, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're 20, whether you're 40, or whether you're 75. What are you laying a foundation for that honors your value, that honors your passion and what feels good for you, and that also honors what's in your cup and the love that you have for that. And if you do so, if you lay that foundation from that place of love for yourself, well, then everything is going to be fine. Yeah, there might be challenges along the way, but it's going to, again, honor what's in your cup. So even in meeting those challenges, you're going to find emotional fulfillment because you're realizing that you're working towards something for yourself. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull a final card here to take a look at what is the overarching spiritual lesson you're learning about yourself this month. And then I'll read the full excerpt from the book that comes with this deck so that you can have a takeaway message that doesn't come directly from me. I always like to see how these messages line up with the readings themselves. Okay, so let's see here. What is Capricorn learning about themselves? Okay, so we have 2 cards that came out. We have Initiation by Water, number 23, breaking down to a 5, which is the number of change. And then we have the First Ray of Power, number 1. Love that. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water here before I jump in and read these. All right. So number 23, Initiation by Water. And I know already, because I've obviously read many of these over and over again, this has to do with kind of that emotional chaos and then getting down to emotional stability and clarity. Okay, so we have your spiritual path this lifetime involves you becoming a clear channel for spirit. You are meant to communicate with higher guidance from the loving spiritual worlds. Your initiation by water will further open your receiving channels, dislodge lower vibrational material, and sensitize you to the subtle realms of light. You are being opened to a world of which you may only have dreamed, such as its beauty, grace, and love. Situations have been arising in your world that evoke emotional reactions and challenge your opinions and beliefs. You may not feel in control. You may feel like your world, your own emotions, have become like a stormy sea in which you are tossed about, and you are doing your best not to drown in the chaos. Yet you are not to fear it. It is stirring that which has been held within so it can be released. The storm will pass, and the waters of your emotions shall become more serene. You could compare the process to a glass of water with muddy sediment at the bottom. The water appears clear as the mud is left to lie, yet once that water gets stirred up, the mud rises. Then it can be filtered out, and the water will be clearer than ever before. The turbulence was a step that led to greater clarity. The waters in the glass are comparable to your emotional waters, and the fixed opinions, beliefs, or long-held emotional patterns based on unresolved past pain are the sediment at the bottom of the glass. Hold the glass up to the light. Can the light shine through the sediment? No, but it can be seen through the clear water. Remove the sediment and the water will be clear enough to allow light to shine through without obstruction or distortion. The light is the light of spirit, of higher truths, unconditional love, of peace, wisdom, and joy. You know that you are meant to be a channel for the truths of the spirit. As an advanced soul, you are capable of successfully enduring the process of filtering out whatever would obstruct the clear flow of higher consciousness through your being. Perhaps, tired of emotional swings, you have suppressed your emotions and believe that you feel nothing. Yet you are acting out unwanted behaviors or suffering from apparently random physical accidents or maladies, which is your subconscious way of expressing your hidden feelings. If this is the case, you are encouraged to be kind to yourself, to give yourself time to reflect upon your true feelings. Releasing emotional blockages doesn't have to be a drawn-out process. It is often the resistance and fear of the feelings within that is more difficult than expressing the actual feeling underneath that resistance, and finally letting it go. Whatever pain you are feeling right now is a sign of emotional healing and recovery. You are encouraged to accept and process your feelings, especially those that do not make much sense to you. Your emotional truths will make more sense as you heal. If you can get help from a healer, therapist, counselor, or mentor, they will support you and help you resolve your part of the process more swiftly. Know that even though it challenges you at times, this is a good thing that is taking place, necessary for you to more fully receive the divine connection for which you yearn. And number 1, first ray of power. The first ray of power is energy of conscious destruction. It can be used in a healthy way to eliminate the past and allow for a fresh start. I think, do we see a pattern here? There's an element of releasing the past, especially on an emotional level, and moving forward with this fresh energy. Okay, so it says the first ray the first ray also carries a frequency of leadership. It can assist you to stand in the truth of your light so others can find their way by it. It helps to strengthen your willpower so you can accomplish any task you choose. The Ascended Master El Morya brings you his particular blessing and encourages you to believe in your own strength and take the initiative on what matters most to you. If you are confused about which path to take or whether to continue a certain relationship, course of action, or lifestyle choice, the first ray of power will clarify matters for you. When it moves through our lives, whatever is holding us back will be removed, either through circumstances seemingly beyond our own control or by our own actions based on a sudden inner knowing. When the first ray of power is indicated, a long-term plan that was once important to you may suddenly seem as though it needs to change or even be released altogether. And that is the 8 of Cups right here. Or you may suddenly get the motivation to go for something you have been dreaming of for a long time. Once this ray affects your life, your understanding of what is helpful and what is not can change overnight. The changes will feel very true, freeing, and helpful. Those people, dreams, and opportunities that remain in your life afterwards have survived the onslaught of divine will. This means the universe is confirming that they are meant to be part of your journey at this time. The first ray of power also relates to matters of leadership and politics. Be open as to how your spiritual journey might be helpful in the world of politics, whether that be through aligning yourself with a cause that resonates deeply in your heart, or through bringing a more open and discerning viewpoint into the often deceptive world of politics. Speaking your truth will be very helpful at this time, not only for you, but also for those around you who are willing to hear your voice and make their own choices from a clearer place within. Don't be afraid to be heard. If your life purpose involves either driving a meaningful political cause forward or assuming a position of leadership in some other way, you'll feel the truth of this and be given encouragement from the Ascended Master El Morya to trust yourself as a leader with heart and awareness. Finally, when this ray makes its way into your life, it is time to accept the loving gauntlet being thrown down by the universe and take your hands off the controls of your life. Detach and be curious. The universe will show you exactly what you need and remove what you do not. If something or someone is no longer a part of your life, it will be so that a more beautiful, truthful, and satisfying version of what you are surrendering can come into your world. Remember, the universe loves you and wants only the best and most beautiful life experience for you. Trust it enough to let that happen now. All right, Capricorn, I'm going to leave you with that. I think it could not be more clear what this month is throwing up for you. It might be an emotionally turbulent month, but as we can see, it's also that you clarify, you remove all the sediment. I'm almost seeing all these 9 pentacles are the sediment of all the stuff that's around you, and you get to clarify what's the one that's the most important. What's the one you want to move forward with? What's the one that is part of this empowered, heart-centered, new version of yourself moving forward that honors what's in your cup, that honors what you're passionate about, that honors what on an emotional level you know you want to walk towards, that you know you want to hold space for the creation of. All right. For those of you who'd like to book a personal reading or just visit my website to see what else I have to offer and learn a little bit more about me, you can click on the link in the description box below. Otherwise, I will see you all in next month's reading. Have a fantastically emotional month that leads to the clarity of your own value and self-worth. You can do it, Capricorn. Bye.